This is the Unspoken Podcast on the Undetermined Podcast Network.
You are listening to the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. It is episode number 21, episode Blackjack. I'm Tom Albano along with Nick Fodera as always.
Hit me! Not literally, but, blackjack joke. Oh, God, I'm terrible at this. But, yes, we are here, and we got something special lined up for you today.
Speaking of blackjack and gambling, hey, blackjack is a game. Well, guess what? We've got sports games this week.
Yes, sports video games, that is. So if you think we're going to spend like an hour on darts, you're sadly mistaken, I'm afraid.
Darts is cool. I mean, respect to well, it's very popular in Europe. So respect to our brothers over in England and France and Spain. They all had their fun with that game.
Yeah, but it's a good point. But we are in America.
You're living in America. Like that Rocky song.
Oh, great! And now he's gonna start singing. But before we get but before we get to the fun stuff, we just do quick recap of everything that's gone on this week. And boy, is it a doozy!
Quite the doozy. Championship action starting in the NHL and the NBA.
Yes, we let's just say the Penguins showed up to play the first two games in the Stanley Cup, and oh boy, what happened to Pecorine?
Oh, here's the thing. You can say the Penguins came to play, although I feel a little bit of me wants to be a little hard on Nashville. I mean, first of all, here's what I'll say. First of all, they're playing a hell of a franchise. I don't think that's out of the question, but when you look at the numbers of like game number one, I feel like Nashville could have won.
Yeah, they could have.
I mean, Pittsburgh, I think they've been ranting about this for days. I mean, shots on goal in the first period, Nashville outshot Pittsburgh 11-8. Second period, Nashville outshot Pittsburgh 9-0. Third period, Nashville outshot Pittsburgh 6-4. In total, Nashville outshot Pittsburgh 26-12. But in the first period, the Penguins got 3 goals.
Yeah. So you know what it comes down to? I think honestly, at least in the fortunes of Game 1, it comes down to luck, and that's why hockey can be frustrating a lot of times, where it just seems like you turn every which way but loose to score the goal, but the puck refuses to go in the net.
I mean, yeah, that is one thing, and that's sad to see. Really, really sad to see that despite all the shots they put on, Nashville could only muster 2 goals in the third period. I mean, they did actually 1 goal in the second period as well. But, I mean, they made it close. I really thought, maybe, just maybe, they could have had the shot to come back and everything, but unfortunately, it was not to be. I mean, credit to Nashville for going 2 for 3 on the power play, getting on hits. But I don't know, it just was not enough. And then Wednesday night, game 2, I mean, just Nashville again. I mean, out shooting Pittsburgh 38-27, 18-12 in the first, 14-7 in the second. Pittsburgh got the more shots on goal in the third. But I mean, here's my analysis of Wednesday's game. Face-offs, I mean, Nashville did win more. I mean, that's power plays. Both teams sucked on the power play on Wednesday. Nashville going 0 for 4. Pittsburgh going 0 for 7.
It's funny because usually the last couple of teams to play in the Stanley Cup have been really, really awful on the power play. It's really amazing to see.
I mean, we get on the Rangers' ass all the time about the power play, but this is something else.
Well, the Penguins are really no better. And it's just you know what it is? I think really you don't want to be the one who gives up a power play goal in the playoffs. So I think defenses tend to tighten up a lot more when they're shorthanded than they would in the regular season.
Anyways, both teams getting 1 goal apiece in the first and no goals in the second, and then the third period, just Pittsburgh laid the smack down. 10 seconds in, they get a goal. 10 seconds into the third period, I should say, they got a goal. And then 3 minutes later, they get another goal. 15 seconds after that, another goal. And then bye-bye, Pekka Ryan.
Yeah. Well, although we should mention this qualifier that the series is not over yet. I mean, they're down 2 games to none.
Right.
But they still are very, very capable of coming back in this series.
I just don't want them to get swept. I really don't want another Pittsburgh domination.
I don't either, but you know what? It might just be in the cards because they've come out lucky at sometimes and dominant in other times, and both of those is a recipe for disaster if they don't do anything, if they don't do something to fix it.
Absolutely. So before we move on, Nick, quick question. Well, 2 quick questions. Number 1. So now I guess since they're up to nothing and we're thinking dominance, we have to answer this question. If this means another Stanley Cup for Crosby, does this, in your eyes, mean Crosby is better than Ovechkin?
Yes. And let me qualify that. I hate the guy. I spit on the ground he walks on. But look, the same thing with Tom Brady. You can't discount what he's done in the playoffs. I mean, you just can't. Ovechkin might have better regular season numbers, but when it counted, the guy Crosby just turns into this otherworldly, beast.
I was just gonna say Ovechkin might have it in terms of the overall numbers, but when the lights go up and the game is on, Mr. Crosby is Mr. Clutch.
And it pains me to hear you say that. It pains me to say it.
It pains me to say that.
Yeah, I know, but look, let's not let our Rangers fandom kind of blind us to what is occurring here.
Right. I mean, I think it's like this. I mean, after this domination, I feel like exactly what we were talking about with a couple of weeks ago about Brady. It's like forced acceptance. We're forced to accept Crosby is probably the best player in the NHL.
Yeah, I would have to say he is, although I don't think they're going to go for a straight sweep. I
hope not. I hope at the very least, I hope it's like the Rangers where they can win maybe 1 game at home, either game 3 or 4.
Yeah, because you hate to see it. You hate to see a team lose a championship at home, and
especially getting swept.
Yeah, you really, really don't want to see that.
Yeah. And speaking of domination, over in the NBA, it's for the 3rd year in a row these 2 teams dominate. It's Cleveland Cavaliers and Golden State Warriors. We don't have a league imbalance problem, eh, Mr. Silver?
Oh, no, of course not. Oh, wait, what's that? It is not imbalanced. You know what? Again, somebody has to go check the arena. You know, Durant might still be there scoring.
Kevin Durant, I have to give him player of the freaking game yesterday. Kevin Durant, I have the numbers here. The Golden State Warriors defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers 113-91 yesterday, game 1 of the NBA Finals. Here are some of the numbers from some of the players from Golden State. Kevin Durant in 38 minutes, 38 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, just missing both a double-double and a triple-double.
He was playing like he was pissed off. And you know what? He might well have been.
He was playing like he had something to prove, and I think he proved something yesterday.
That this is not going. I don't think this is going to be a repeat of last year.
No, and going back to the pistol thing, he's sick of not being first place. He's sick of second place and everything.
Yeah, although I think he will be. It's the same thing. If the Warriors manage to, they manage to capture the championship, I think he will be. He'll be kind of like LeBron was in Cleveland.
I was gonna say he's gonna be LeBron too.
Miami. He's the bad guy now.
Right, and then he's gonna go home to Oklahoma, and I don't know. I'm coming home. I'm coming home.
Yeah.
I'm getting kind of sick of that story. I mean, when one person does that, like LeBron, when come Carbon
from Cleveland though, he's an Akron guy.
I know, no, but that's the thing. I was gonna say when carbon copies come in, it's just I don't know.
He apparently was having some kind of feud with Rihanna, who was actually at courtside had courtside seats to Game 1. Really? I think.
Really?
I'm not quite sure.
Interesting. Very interesting. Anyways, some more stats to read off. Steph Curry achieving a double-double, actually just missing on a triple-double as well. 34 minutes he obtained 28 points and 10 assists, 6 rebounds. LeBron James, he also gets the double-double and misses out on the triple-double. LeBron in 40 minutes had 28 points, 15 rebounds, 8 assists, and he actually did get 2 blocks. Also credit to Kyrie Irving, 35 minutes, he put up 24 points.
Which is better than you would expect from him.
Kevin Love with a double-double as well, 34 minutes, 15 points, 21 rebounds. This is a good scoring series.
It is. It's going to be, and it's just amazing to me that a team as stacked as the Cavs, from pretty much top to bottom, the underdog in this series. Because against any other team, they would be pretty much predicted to blow the doors off of pretty much every other team in the league. Warriors.
Right. But I still think it's still LeBron, it's still the Cavs, it's still it's still the Eastern Conference All-Stars against the Western Conference All-Stars. I'm sorry to say that.
Yeah, they do. And you know what? They have a pedigree. I mean, everybody on this team has a pedigree, and it's going to be – I don't think it's going to be as, just because the Warriors won Game 1, that doesn't mean the Cavs are done.
Right, exactly my point. So I personally think we still got more to go, and it won't be, it's not going to – if anybody thinks that because – Golden State won by about, 20 points? What was the score? They won 13-91. So actually 20.
Yeah, it was about 20 points, but it felt like 40.
So if anyone thinks just based on that one game alone, that Golden State is going to dominate, I'm sorry, you're wrong. I think Cleveland will come back. They will win either Game 2 or Game number 3. This one's not done.
Yeah, although by the time of next week's episode, the series could be over.
Very true.
So we may actually be forced to eat our words sooner than we thought we would have to.
I mean, I will eat my words if, Golden State sweeps Cleveland or dominates them 5 games, but I don't think so. It's LeBron and the Cavs. I have faith. Now, here's the thing. I did say this series was going to go 7. However, based on this one game, I am going to give it to Golden State. I think Golden State will win Game 7 and will get the NBA title.
I honestly can say you're probably right. I think Durant is too much of an X factor. He brings so much more to this team, this Golden State Warriors team, that it didn't have last year. that they can pretty much just pummel mission pedigree on the Cavs or not.
I mean, it's like last year's final and the year before that, for obvious reasons. But it's also, I'm trying to think of how to word this. You know that game where it's like I can do that, or I can do that better, or I can one up that.
Yeah,
that's exactly what these two teams are playing.
Yeah, it's basically a pissing contest.
and I'm just talking about the basketball. I'm talking about also like off-season stuff, like the acquirements and stuff, like Kevin and everything. It's like, okay, I'll up you this. I'll up you this.
Yeah, it's a game of one-upsmanship, like you said.
And unfortunately, like I said, we reported it on the 5 headlines you need to know this week. I forget for which day, but Adam Silver says there's not a league imbalance problem because the new CBA's rule. He says it's because the new CBA brings an incentive to players who re-sign with teams, so that way it avoids a super team situation. I still think
David Stern was full of it.
I mean, here's the thing. Players can just go wherever the hell they want. I mean, they don't have to be, And in some cases, I bet you some teams, like let's say, figure out what's a small team in the NBA to you? You know what, Charlotte?
The Utah
Jazz.
Utah Jazz.
Okay, so the Utah Jazz. Let's say someone is an all-star from the Utah Jazz, but now in this little one-upsmanship situation, let's say Golden State wins. Cleveland says, you know what, we want him. You get what I mean? Like the incentive to stay in Utah may not be enough anyways.
It definitely won't be.
So it just, it doesn't help with, how some teams can afford other players. I mean, that's a thing in all the sports. But, when you're talking two dominant teams, a league with two dominant teams, the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavs, something's got to be done.
Yeah, it does, to be honest with you. But as long as the two teams are just hacking away at each other and the ratings stay, astronomical, I think the NBA would be foolish to try and put a stopper in that.
I know, but I don't want to see Golden State and Cleveland for a 4th year in a row.
You and a lot of other people in basketball do, but bean counters, these two super teams, they put asses in seats and eyeballs on TV sets and tablets. So you don't want to. So
I guess, but I'm so sick of it that last night I was actually out for most of the day. So, but when I turned on the TV, I watched a goddamn spelling bee for a little while.
Wow, that is boredom. That is boredom personified. But you need to understand something about the way it's structured. They've never heard of the term "too much of a good thing."
I guess not. I mean, we had one super team with the Miami Heat. Now we got 2 super teams.
Again, money talks and bullshit rides the bus.
I guess so. Oh, going back briefly to Stanley Cup, you have to make a prediction.
I have to make a prediction. I will say Penguins in 5.
Penguins in 5? Okay. I think I made my prediction last week. I said Penguins in 6, I think. But I think you might be right now. But yeah. Nick, you had a topic you want to talk about with the Yankees, so let's quickly move on to that for another 5-10 minutes because we actually been talking a lot.
Yes, we have, and this is more of an open question.
Okay. Because
I've seen this is it. The jumping off point is the Yankees, but it's more of a rhetorical thing. So CC pitched last night against. He pitched against the Blue Jays, and he only gave up 1, and they won 8-2. Actually,
I was going to say it was a dominant performance by all the Yankees all around.
They won 12-2 actually, and CC did very, very good. Of course, well, the offense just exploded again. Who is this person, and what has he done with Aaron Hicks? I would like to know if an alien has kind of invaded his body and actually made him hit. I have no idea what happened, but that is neither here nor there. The important question is that I've seen CC this year just not blowing anybody away on the radar gun anymore, like he was
Right.
In the beginning when he first signed with the Yankees. He's become more of an Andy Pettitte kind of finesse pitcher. It's more about location than trying to blow people away.
Right.
And it begs the question, let's say you were a pitcher in Major League Baseball.
Okay.
Would you rather have amazing stuff and numbers to go with it, but you only last for 5 or 6 years, or as opposed to being a finesse pitcher, nothing, the records are very, middle of the road, but you are consistent and rock solid for a good 15 to 18 years in the big league?
Honestly, finesse. I would like a long career. I would like a career where, basically people know me for, the simple stuff. And I mean, you can fool batters with the simple stuff. You don't need to be, showy and flashy. Andy Pettitte was not showy and flashy too much.
No, I should add this qualifier.
Okay.
The ace thing is, let's say the ace thing would be kind of like Roger Clemens with his first years with the Red Sox. We're talking game-changing stuff.
Right.
Irrespective of broader team success, like, playoff berths or even championships, because that's not won on the back of one pitcher.
Right.
However, with the ace path, you are guaranteed Hall of Fame. The other one, you will have a longer career, but you'll have to wait.
Oh, God. Now that you throw that qualifier in. Oh, why'd you have to hit me with that, Nick?
Because I like making you think, Albano.
Jesus. I mean, I'm now leaning towards option one only because now I think the likes of CC Sabathia, and I'm sure there's other pitchers, but right now my mind is on the situation. Like, it's possible, even if you struggle after those 5-6 years, it's possible to switch to the other and, have a bounce back in your career.
Yeah, it is possible, but how many? There aren't many pitchers who really have successfully done that. With the kind of consistency that Andy was able to do with the Yankees and with the Astros.
I mean, that's fair enough. But
I'll say. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I guess I'm not. Like, when I played baseball, I was not a flashy player by all means, so I guess I would have to go with the finesse option.
Yeah, to be honest, I would. I would agree with you, but I think that most people...
It's the Hall of Fame qualifier.
If you talk to any pitcher, young pitcher nowadays, especially young flamethrowers, they would take option A rather than option B.
Right. I think part of that is Hall of Fame.
If you mean you're blowing people away and you're in the Hall of Fame, I think they would honestly take that.
Yeah. But I feel like option B, you can have a longer career. You can still get in the Hall of Fame. And you can even transition into a coach. And, maybe you get in the Hall of Fame by way of being a coach.
But you don't get paid as much. Yeah. I should have added that as the qualifier. Because ace stats means ace contract numbers.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, that's a tough situation to be in. But, just based on the person that I am, I guess I would be more a finesse pitcher.
Yeah, I would have to agree because I don't want to be anybody's. I don't want to be the go-to guy. I'd rather just be the guy who sits in the back and says, "All right, yeah, here I am. I'm not blowing anybody away. I'm not."
I mean,
Mediocre is what I'm willing to settle for.
I mean, it's not so much that as it's I would want to play for as long as possible. I mean, when you see, like, prior to this year, when CC was coming out and stuff, I would just be facepalming. I'm like, oh my God, when's this guy going?
Yeah, and you know what? You know who I should actually add to that in addition to CC? R.A. Dickey.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, I would want a career where it's like I still want people to come out and see me. I wouldn't want a career where 5 or 6 years I was pretty popular, and then 5 or 6 years later, it's like everybody's facepalming, like, go away.
It's a good point. It's definitely a good point. But what do you think that baseball pitchers are more going towards, option A or option
Probably
B?
option A. Probably option A.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's driven more towards. I want the contract so I can support myself,
Right.
so I can support my family, and so that I can. They probably feel like giving the team their best chance to win would be if you're going up there and racking up strikeouts by the bucketful.
Right. I mean, and I might have another pitcher to add to that, but I would like to check his numbers for this year so far. Oh, the Yankees playing Toronto tonight at 7 o'clock. Actually, St. Louis and Chicago are going at it right now. Actually, let me not distract myself by that. Let me get into. Okay, here he is. Actually, he's pitching tonight. Actually, I was thinking sort of Steven Strasburg, because he hasn't been, doing well since he had first gotten on the scene. But Steven Strasburg also this season doing very well. 6-1, 2.94 ERA, 105 WHIP, 74 strikeouts. He's also having a bounce back season.
Yeah, and do you think he's transitioning more into a finesse pitcher?
I mean, I would think he has to be, because I remember 2010, 2011 when he first came up, he was one of those flashy pitchers.
Yeah.
But he did not last long.
It didn't last long because of injury.
Right.
And injury is the great equalizer. That's
the other thing. If you're a flashy pitcher, you say, 5-6 years, Hall of Fame, big money, but you never know. Like my dad has always said, with pitchers, any one of them can be their last.
Yeah, you are one hard pitch away from torn rotator cuff city, and then the shitstorm happens.
Because I think that would be interesting if you added that as another qualifier. It's like, but if you get an injury such as that,
I wouldn't necessarily say you're going to get injured. I would say the qualifier would probably be the risk of injury jumps from something like
I didn't say when
to 75 to 80%.
I did not say when you get injured. I said if you get injured. You playing more than ice.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
I feel like if you added that qualifier in now, then you're gonna have pitchers, especially major league pitchers, young major leaguers, just getting in now, scratching their heads and having the reaction that I did.
Yeah, you do. Well, it's all in the fingers, and you know what? Speaking of fingers, I really need to bring this. I need to bring this up quickly because it is funny.
Okay,
Mr. Matt.
Oh, God.
Yes. For those of you who do not know, I think it was the Mets playing the Braves, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And some Braves fans were heckling Mr. Met when he was out there.
The Brewers.
What? What'd you say?
The Brewers.
Oh, yeah. So the Brewers basically heckling, Brewers fans basically heckling Mr. Met when he was out there in the stands doing whatever it is Mr. Met does. I don't know. I'm not a Met fan. So The guy in the costume thinks it's a good idea to flip them off. I don't know how he would flip them off since Mr. Met only has 4 fingers. So it's really like he's pointing his index finger at them. But he did the Italian. You put your
right.
I come from an Italian family, so you put your arm over the other arm and then let it loose, which I appreciate.
And he was caught on camera.
He was caught on camera. It went viral, and the Mets apologized, and they fired the guy in the suit.
Actually, they did not exactly fire him. They are moving him. Like, there was actually a rotation of people, they say, who are in the suit, and he just will not be in the suit anymore. He'll be somewhere else in the ballpark.
Cleaning bathrooms, probably.
Probably.
Or he's Mrs. Met.
Oh, God. But, yeah, I mean, supposedly, I was reading the score before, and supposedly the fan had wanted a high five. He said he wanted a high five or something, and he only got 1 finger. But
no, he got a high five. He got a high 1.
Yeah, he got a high 1. But I mean, it's a Brewers. It's a Brewers fan who was visiting a Mets ballpark. I'm not sure if he exactly wanted a high five.
No, he was probably just screwing with him. But that is the wrong reaction to take when you're a mascot and there are kids around.
I know. I don't know why he thought that was a good idea.
I mean, I can get very, very angry when somebody gives me the business. But if I'm in the middle, if there are kids around, I am definitely not going to the old magic 4-letter words.
I know. Why didn't he give him the pinky if he wanted to do something like that?
If you wanted to do something really, you could have just done the air wanking motion.
Oh, God,
that would have gotten the point across.
Probably.
Plus, it's more efficient because Mr. Met only has 4 fingers, and you really kind of need 5 to get it right.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that has people defending Mr. Met. I like how the hashtag is I stand with Mr. Met.
Why? Why do you have to get outrageous and indignatious about? Granted, it's funny
because we get rampageous and indignation about everything.
I don't get it. It's still funny though. This is so not the most embarrassing thing to happen to the Mets though, as I've heard Don LaGreca say. That
moment is just a summary of the Mets season thus far.
Yeah, it really, really is. Because if let's just say Mr. Met had a voodoo doll of one of the players, and every time he fell down, a Mets player tore his shoulder.
Oh, God.
Let's just say that would probably sum it up a little bit better.
Poor Mets. You are listening to the Unspoken Podcast by the Undetermined Podcast Network. Nick, we've been at it for a half hour instead of 5-10 minutes. Let's talk video games now.
That's right. Sporting video games, they are a very formative part. Well, video games in general are a very formative part of my childhood. In fact, you could say that they kind of raised me. But yeah, we felt like they are enough of a presence in both of our lives that we could talk about them. Our listeners might be fans, so we thought it would be something that would be fun to do. So before we get into, I would probably ask the question: what is it that makes a good sports video game?
First of all, I would say maybe realism, making it. I mean, that maybe more so of now newer video games, more modern video games. Making it like what you would see on a broadcast. Like I told you a couple of weeks ago, I just picked up MLB 17, and one of the things about MLB 17 is there's different TV style presentation options. 2 of them are just generic, like they've been in the recent years, and then a third one is like the MLB Network, like all the same graphics, Harold Reynolds and Matt Vasgersian and the rest of the crew commentating.
Yeah. Although I'm old enough to remember when, well, I'm 26, but I'm old enough to remember, the PlayStation 1 and Sega Genesis and Super NES. And I really feel like sports games, basketball, baseball, football, Madden especially, they've transitioned from giving you the feeling like you are on the field to you are watching a game broadcast on TV.
I definitely can see that. You mentioned the Super NES. You know what I was playing yesterday?
What?
Super Bases Loaded 2.
Never heard of it.
Never
Was
really?
it what? Nope. Was it ever? Was it?
I mean,
it fun?
It's kind of fun. Actually, that game had kind of like something like an early version of Create a Team, where it's like there are 4 teams where you basically can adjust the lineup and stats of players and everything.
Yeah. They started doing that even as early as what year did that come out?
I want to say early mid-90s or something like that. Although from my research, there was one game, I think it was like in the early 80s, where you could do something like that. And that's actually a perfect transition, by the way, because one of my favorite things about a sports video game, and I guess that's number 2 on my list after realism, is the creatability. The ability to create yourself, other players in video games. And I mean, for those of you who are just listening to us for the first time, I am actually a big WWE and UFC fan, and I think one of my favorite things about those games that make me come back to it year after year is all the creatability you can do, especially with the WWE games. In recent years, the Creation Suite, like if you remember the early WWF games, it was just, create a superstar and, the basics of it. Now, you can freaking create a superstar. Change up all the movesets, bit by bit, change the entrances, make arenas and stuff. It's gotten insane.
It is. It really is. And because you just reminded me that I had this game, the old WCW Nitro. Remember that?
Oh God. Yes.
That was on the old PlayStation, and I got it when my parents used to buy me and my brother gifts for Easter.
Oh.
That was one of the things that we found in the joint basket that we used to get. And WCW Nitro, we played the hell out of that game.
You know what's funny? I have it for the PC, and it's like the layout and everything is the Nitro, but the roster is the Thunder roster.
Yeah, it is. And, they had the full motion video intros for all the wrestlers.
That was the Thunder game, yeah. But all 3 of those games, Nitro for PS, the Thunder for PS, and the Nitro for the PC and N64, which was kind of like a mashup, like I said. It had the freaking rants.
Yeah, it did. It did. And the commentary was there. The commentary from Bobby Heenan was there, and that was
very little of it, but
very little of it, very limited, but it was still him. And to 7-8-year-old me, that was pretty much, I'm actually watching TV right now. I was an easy lay when it comes to that stuff.
I mean, now looking back at the games, it's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it has not aged well. My brother and I actually dusted off the PlayStation a couple months ago and said, yeah, what the hell? Let's just put this in. Oh my God, we didn't last 5 minutes.
It's terrible. I'm looking back now. I'm like, why the hell were we playing this?
Yeah, you know what it was? Especially because a lot of my experience with sports games is more, although I love, NHL 95 and for the SNES, great soundtrack, by the way. And Triple Play and Deion Sanders football for the Sega Genesis. My interest in sports games is more geared towards the arcadey stuff, like Mario Tennis and Burnout Revenge.
I was actually playing Mario Tennis yesterday too, the Game Boy version.
Yes, although I hated the Game Boy version. The Game Boy Color version just sucked.
Really?
Oh my God, it sucked. See, my brother and I would play Mario Tennis. I would be Mario and he would be Luigi, and he would act like this if we were actually playing a tennis match in real life. He would get mad, and I'm talking screaming mad if I ever missed a shot. And it just got so competitive. It felt like a real sport to me. But
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I'm playing on the Game Boy version. I'm playing the little Mario Tour story mode or whatever it is, where you're like Kid Alex and stuff. And I'm playing the singles. Now, when I was little, I always used to play doubles. Here's the thing. I would rather play doubles, but I would rather watch singles when it comes to tennis. It's weird.
Yeah. Doubles is more fun when you're playing with somebody else.
Exactly. But the thing about it is, I'm trying to think how to word this. I mean, I was playing yesterday. I'm only on the junior circuit or whatever. I just had the second match. On a scale of 1 to 10 of difficulty or just annoyance of how it was going, like, you need a lot of endurance. Like, on that 1 to 10 scale, I would say Olympics and 2 Chinese or Korean players playing ping pong. That's how hard it is.
Yeah, you can literally get off a session of Mario Tennis literally sweating.
You
will be sweating like a fat Russian guy at a sauna.
Oh my God.
And it's gotten that bad. I mean, it was that bad when we were kids. As we got older, teenage years, you had Wii Sports, especially Wii Baseball.
Yes.
The matches, especially in baseball, between the two of us, between my brother and I, there was a time, actually, I think it was Thanksgiving a couple of years ago, where I hit something like, and he literally stopped the game periodically to yell at me.
Jesus.
He was acting like I was doing this to him on purpose.
Oh, God.
My brother's a very competitive person, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Competitive nature. I mean, that comes with the territory of sports games. Let's see. Oh, there was actually one more thing I did want to talk about in terms of like favorite modes. What makes a good video game? I think it's also, how do I word this? The ability to feel like you are a part of something or you are in control of something. Like, I was talking about the creation modes of like the WWE games. Well, I mean, I got to give credit to like the Madden and MLB games and such, because even the NBA games of like, when you do like something like a career mode and you create you or a player that's supposed to be you and you're taking them through, or in a franchise mode where you're running a team.
Yeah. Although I think especially in the earlier generation, we're talking PS1, I think the NHL games and Madden kind of got that the most.
Oh, yeah.
They got it right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's still some things, about video games where, still improvements could be made. Actually, before I get to that, though, you mentioned your favorite games. I should mention some of mine. Like I said, I'm a big WWE gaming fan. I always usually get the series every year because it comes out around either my birthday or Christmas, so it's like, easy to get gift.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what other games. I mean, what we haven't seen in a while? I mentioned WWE and UFC games. We haven't seen a Fight Night game in a while.
Yeah, then they used to be really really prevalent.
Yeah, Fight Night Round 3 for the PS2. I played like at the middle school.
Yeah, I remember that actually. I didn't have it, but I was like, yeah.
I was like, you might have been in high school and such. I remember being in middle school and playing that game like to death. That was fun.
I might have been. I'm not sure.
Believe it or not, I actually got into Madden very late. I got into it. My first Madden game was Madden 07.
Yeah. Well, I don't really. My brother played Madden. I didn't. But what was it that drew you to Madden, other than the fact that it's really the only game in town anymore?
Right. And I actually want to get to that because it has to do with another one of my favorite series. But Madden, I don't know. I mean, I guess the thing with Madden was, it's like I said, maybe the career mode, which I think has just this is my personal opinion, and I probably could get a shit ton for this, but I think the Madden series has gone kind of downhill.
I really don't play it, so I can't really weigh in, but I see what you're saying.
Because over the last few years, all I've been seeing is the same kind of modes over and over again. I haven't really seen much improvement. And it seems like with the career mode, not the career mode, but like, the franchise mode and everything is being moved. Well, their focus is the online version of it, like when you're competing with other players and such in your own franchise, kind of multiplayer franchise league, which I can understand the fun of, but, I was a fan of the old be a superstar mode in the Madden where, you were responsible not just for practices in the games, but you were responsible, for your image. You were responsible for answering interviews and press conferences and having an agent and taking the IQ test and the combine and everything.
Wow, that was thorough. That is really thorough for a video game.
That's the thing. I miss those days. I don't like how they focus so much on the franchise and online portion of it that the career mode essentially now is just you can be a player, manager, or coach, but the thing is, with the player option, it's just playing games. Like, I wish we had press conferences again. Now, they weren't, full out, video stuff. It was just talking with agents, via text screens and stuff, but, being able to do off the field things as a player, it's like that was cool. And actually, NCAA football, at least the early games, like NCAA football 11, you were also responsible for having a high enough GPA to play as well.
Yeah, well, didn't they never actually use players' real names?
Yes.
Yes, they did, or yes, they didn't?
Yes, they didn't. Like, at least where I have it, the one NCAA basketball game I have and a couple of the football video games, it's player numbers and stuff, but it can auto-assign, certain names, but I believe they're just random names.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I think there was a rights issue, wasn't there? Where somebody sued and they stopped using names?
Yeah. I don't know about that, but I know, but there has been, no NCAA games in a while because of the likenesses thing.
Yeah, well, as far as the career mode thing goes and more of a focus towards online play, I think you could spread that out into saying that's endemic of a lot of what video games have become today. I mean, the genre as a whole. The games that had solid, story modes, and granted, I'm a big first-person shooter fan, more really of an action type game. That's the genre that I gravitate towards, and so much more of it is focused, geared towards online multiplayer more than it used to. And in some ways, I like that. In other ways, I have a couple problems with it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, the game that has been getting to me has been getting me more into multiplayer online play, like we've talked about before when we were in school and such, is Overwatch.
Yeah, I gotta get that game. People keep telling me to do it, and I always keep forgetting.
It's a fun game. It's really, really fun.
Yeah, because it's not, realism is not necessarily the be-all, end-all of video games anymore, nor should it be.
It shouldn't be.
I mean, I can't. I hate. You've heard of Gran Turismo, right?
Gran Turismo, yeah.
I hate that game. Never played it. Never played Need for. I played Need for Speed. I have played Gran Turismo and I hate it. But Burnout, Burnout was more my speed because it was the only game that really conveyed that sense of I am going 200 miles an hour and crashing into shit.
I do have a Burnout game. I don't think I've played it in a long time though. Maybe I should.
Burnout Revenge was the shit when I was in high school. Actually,
I'm trying to think what other, like, going back to the career mode thing. I think the best. I know the NHL used to do that as well with like off the field stuff as well, at least in recent years. MLB. Each thing can improve on. Well, actually, NBA also has this weird, like I remember a couple of years ago, Spike Lee had directed it or not, whatnot.
Yeah, I think they had written the career mode according
Yeah.
to.
I had hated it. Yeah, but I hated it because like it's it's like following a script, and I don't really like it when you have to follow a script and such. I like it when you can make your own choices. Also, it was very weird making me a white character and all my family, I'm growing up in Harlem and all my family is black. It's like weird.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's like, Mom, Dad, am I adopted?
Next question, son.
It's like I guess they didn't think
that's
about
that's like something out of a Spike Lee movie.
God, I've watched Bamboozled, so
no, it's basically the plot of The Jerk.
I know, but I'm saying like if you want to talk Spike Lee movies, I've seen Bamboozled, and that thing is what the fuckish.
I'm not a fan of Spike Lee, but that's
I'm not
neither
either.
here nor there.
I'm not either. It was for a class or something. It was a movies class. I actually wrote an article, by the way, on FlockU about what I think each gaming series. So
what you think of them?
What happened?
What you think of them?
What I think each gaming series, modern gaming series can improve on and such. Video games. Might take me a little while.
Yeah. So what did you come up with?
I know. I'm trying to find that list now. Well, actually, I actually also made a video games that should make a comeback thing, but I'll get into that in a second. Let's see. Oh wow! I actually wrote a couple of video game stories. I can't believe this. I should probably go through them in these. Sorry, it's taking me a little while. Okay, what this year's crop of sports video games need. All right, so for MLB The Show 17, this is my actually just MLB The Show period. I said 17, but basically the MVP baseball and the All-Star Baseball series, two other of my favorite series that I'm sad are not around anymore. The MVP baseball one, I'll get into why, because I do want to talk about MVP baseball because it was a love of mine in my childhood. They, could have rainouts and then they'll schedule doubleheaders. You could have expansion teams and create a stadium, and it's like, why has the show not put any of that in?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know what they're going for by not having that.
Also, they're falling behind on their competitors because Madden, you can move teams. NBA, the recent MyGM or Live League or whatever it is, you can like have expansion teams. You can move teams all around. You can create a whole other league that's not the NBA. Like that's insane. I give credit to the NBA for that. Like MLB needs that. NHL, I said be a pro only because, like NHL 14, you did have the interviews and off-ice situations that could affect like meters, like teammates, how your teammates viewed you, how your coach viewed you, how management viewed you, how your family viewed you. I wish that was back. NBA 2K18. NBA 2K18 actually was more modern, video game gripe also. Having to spend virtual currency and having to spend real money on virtual currency so you can buy stuff in the game.
Yeah, I've heard that was a fun feature.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I would rather it like how the old WWE games used to be. Like, shut your mouth and here comes the pain, where you could buy stuff just in the game. Not having to use your own money, basically. And let's see, there's a couple others here, but like these ones were minor ones. We mentioned the Madden one already, so I don't have to say that one again. FIFA 18, I said we need more women's teams, and the WWE series, I said we need another 2K showcase. The reason 2K17 didn't have one was because at the time there were certain superstars in Brock Lesnar's career path because it was going to be about Lesnar, that were with other promotions at the time or had bad blood with WWE. So not like it wasn't in 2K's control, in other words.
Yeah, so you're wrangling with a lot of different contracts and egos.
Right.
So I understand it. I understand it.
And then Matt and I said everything, like we mentioned before.
Yeah. It's just you know what it comes down to? A lot of it.
What?
I think sports video games were simple, and then they expanded over the years as the technology got better. But as the technology improves, I feel like they're kind of stripping it down for no reason.
Yeah. Also, if you want my four gripes about modern video games, here they are. Number one is updates. I mean, the patches. I mean, Jesus Christ! Like, I get it; it's a cool feature, but it's like the video game doesn't have to be complete now before it's released. That makes me kind of sad.
Yeah, and I honestly don't mind. I honestly don't mind with updates, but
yeah, but I mean, sometimes bad flaws can come in. Like, did I ever show you the really bad WWE 2K17 botch that happened?
Yeah, you did. Where people Yeah, you told me about it.
Yes. Like, I mean, come on, man.
People had that kind of problem with Mass Effect Andromeda, where the game kind of looked a little jerky when it came out, but the patches started to fix it. Well, a couple of memes later.
Like, I
honestly don't. Whatever you can do to make the game better. I mean, it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse for hard work, but
exactly.
I'm not opposed to fixing what's broken or DLC.
That's exactly my thing. That's exactly my thing. If it's fixing something that's broken, I mean, fine. But I mean, if you're just being lazy and like, oh, we'll do that in the next update. Come on. What happened to the days where video games will be fucking completed?
Because they were a lot less complex than they are now.
Right. Also, in terms of on this DLC, I mean, that's tough for me because it's like I want to say, oh, such dickish, but it's like also, but that's business.
Yeah, it is business, and EA is kind of guilty of that more than most.
Once again, EA Sports, it's in your ass.
I never get tired of that. Oh shit!
Although when it comes to sports games, EA Sports is one of the places to be.
It's the only place to be, as a matter of fact. They're the only game in town.
Right. I made a thing that's like 5 sports video game series that should make a comeback, and I think 4 of them were like EA Sports.
Yeah, exactly. They have a monopoly on it. And I think, honestly, that's part of the problem. The fact that there's no competition, there's no differing sets of ideas.
Well, with that, Nick.
Coming from different developers.
Right.
Competition breeds innovation.
Very true. With that, Nick, I want to present to you when it comes to sports video games that should make a comeback and series that I love, I'm going to present to you one of my favorite games from childhood, the nostalgia point of mine. It's MVP Baseball 2003 to 2004 and 2005.
I've heard of them. I've never played them.
They are actually the successor to your Triple Play series.
Oh, is that so?
Yes, right after Triple Play 02 came MVP 03.
Oh, that is, you learn something new every day.
So let me explain to you why I loved MVP Baseball 2004. Because that was the first one I played. I got it for, guess what? Easter.
Oh, you too.
Well,
it's nice to know our parents spoiled us rotten.
And I mean, getting right off the bat with an innovative batting and pitching system, but I was able to get used to that. But what attracted my eye was it was the first sports video game ever to feature minor league teams.
And that's a big sticking point with you?
Yeah, I mean, I like that with baseball and such. It's like AAA and AA teams. It's like, knew of the Staten Island Yankees and such, the single A team from like 2000, because the first one I ever went to was 2001. But I knew of the other teams, but it's like when that game came out, I'm like, oh wow, I can play as the other teams, like the lower teams. Like that's cool. Because I love minor league, sports. The future now.
Yeah. I know you do.
And then in 2005, MVP 05, you also got the Class A advanced team, like the Tampa Yankees.
Yeah. Wait, you did? Yeah, you did.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. MVP 05, you can play as them too. Actually, the series ended after MVP 05. But MVP 05 came out on the PC, so PC users have been able to, mod the games.
Smug bastards.
Yeah. So here's why that series, and also I also like the MVP. I mean, not the MLB 2K5 and 2K6 video games. That was when MLB 2K was actually fun to play because you had like the little power ups and everything that you can do.
This was more like an arcade style kind of thing, almost like NFL Blitz.
Actually, also I only have one game of it, but it's the 2006 version that not many people I think know of, but MLB Slugfest.
I've heard of that actually. I heard it was a lot of fun.
You can like punch players. Players can be on fire. When the player gets like an on fire thing, they're actually on fucking fire.
Yeah, and NFL Blitz did that. That was fun. I actually rented that game from Blockbuster, believe it or not.
I mean, it's fun to play and such. Here's why MLB 2K was discontinued because the game sucks, so poor sales. The NCAA ones, except for football, all ended because of poor sales. I'll get into the baseball one. But basically, here's why NFL 2K and MVP baseball are no longer around. So, Madden 05 had just come out. So too did NFL 2K5, which is actually praised as one of the best, football games around. NFL 2K5 ripped through Madden 05 sales because NFL 2K5 was available for $19.99.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, and there was a big to-do.
Imagine that, Nick. A game coming out for $19.99 for a major video game console.
That's not on Steam? That's unprecedented.
That's not on Steam, correct. That is a CD-based game.
It's amazing, really, and EA.
The ball's on them, and the ball's on them. 2K, earned a lot of praise, and then EA, said fuck you.
Yeah, and they bought up the rights, didn't they?
Yes, and then 2K responded, okay, fuck you. We're going to sign a deal with MLB that allows them and console manufacturers to produce MLB games, but not third parties. So the show could still go on. MLB 2K can still go on. But EA Sports, MVP Baseball, Triple Play, it's done.
Revenge. It is a powerful weapon.
And then you know what happened the last 2 years, Nick? I mean, not these last 2 years, but the 2 years after that happened, MVP decided to do NCAA baseball games.
Yeah, I heard they were making a comeback.
There have been rumors of a comeback as of late, but MVP 06 and 07 were NCAA baseball. And I actually thought they were cool. Unique for college baseball to have its own video game. And I mean, some of the stuff that MVP NCAA introduced ended up in, MLB The Show, like the Rock and Ready pitching system, the load and fire batting system.
That makes it sound so much more badass than it actually is.
I know, exactly. So it's like, I missed that game. I want that series back.
Sign a petition. In fact, start a petition.
Probably. So, Nick, in conclusion, sports video games, I guess, just plays a huge part of our lives.
They do. Well, video games in general, more in my case, but honestly, I think my interest in sports would definitely not be what it is if not for playing sports video games and watching my brother play, and the two of us playing together, because it is a social experience. It breeds a closeness to it that I think just watching it on TV can't necessarily replicate.
Absolutely. So, with that, thank you all for listening into this edition of the Unspoken Podcast. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at the UDUP. And keep tuned also to our Facebook for the series of 5 headlines you need to know Monday nights through Friday nights. Actually, late nights after the day is done, obviously. So that is going to do it for us. For Nick Fodera, I'm Albano, and this has been the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. We'll see you next week for episode number 22.
Good night, everybody.